All right, guys, what's up? Happy Sunday. I don't know if you guys can hear, but this has been my jam. I'm not sure how many people are going to pop on live. A lot of people are not free on Sunday, so they're going to catch the replay, but we're still going to do it here. Hi, Mary. Hi, Jake. Hi, my mom. You guys are the best. Thanks for hopping on live. But I'm really excited to get into this stuff today. These have been some things that have really been on my mind lately, and it's the basis for my new programs that are coming out. And I just think it's such important stuff to teach. So I can't wait to get into it. So we're going to get started. The entire masterclass is around the theme of breaking the habits of your mind, breaking the identification with self that you have, and being able to realize that you're so much more than that so that you can harness that power and do whatever the heck you want to do with it. So before I get started, I want to say a couple things. The first thing is that this work is triggering, and sometimes you might react a certain way to it because that's your ego. So this work is super confronting. And if I say something and immediately your first thought is like, oh, that's triggering. Ooh, I don't like that. That's your ego. So if you feel that coming up, try to take a step back and remember that you're more than your ego. Okay. I used to be the same way. I would study all these teachings and things would come up and I would immediately get offended by it. And I was like, that can't be true. I don't like that. That doesn't sit with me. And once again, things can resonate with you and they might not resonate with you. But if things are triggering you and you can't allow yourself to see past that, that's your ego. So try to put your ego aside. Okay. And secondly, I want you guys to set an intention. What do you want out of this workshop? What are you hoping to get? We all showed up here for a reason. If you're catching the replay, you're here for a reason. But what is that reason? Is it that you want a different life? Is it that you want better relationships? Is it that you want to stop the anxiety? You want to have something you've never had? Ask yourself what your intention is so that you can move through this entire workshop with that intention. Okay, so my intention is to help you guys realize that you are so much more than your mind, to help you realize that you are so much more than all the limits that might have been placed on you, whether you place them on yourselves or other people place them on you. That's what I'm here to do. That's my mission on this earth, is to help you guys realize that. Okay. So it's also a Libra full moon today, which is such expansive energy. Anytime there's a new moon or a full moon, it's such expansive energy. It's a sign of new beginnings. It's a sign of releasing all old habits and moving into a new self. So I'm super excited. I didn't even realize that I had scheduled this on the new moon, but I'm pretty pumped about it. So this is an awesome opportunity for you to become somebody that you want to become. Become somebody different, shed your conditioning, shed your beliefs, and do what you want to do. Okay, so let's get into it. I have so many notes, and this is actually my first live masterclass. I've done so many live trainings. That's, if you go to my website or my page, that's all I do is these live trainings, but this is actually my first masterclass. So I'm really excited. Thank you guys again for being here. If you're catching the replay, I really appreciate it. And let's get into it. So first thing I want to talk about is that you are not your mind. Okay. And when I say that, it might be a little confusing. So we're going to break it down. But what I want you guys to understand is you're not your anxious thoughts. And for me, as someone who struggled with anxiety for a really long time, I identified as those thoughts. I was those thoughts. I was that person who had those thoughts. So I want to ask you guys a question. And just at home, if you're taking notes or whatnot, ask yourself, who are you? Who am I? I want you guys to ask yourself that. Who am I? And I want you to ask yourself that because so many of us identify with a personality. We create an identity around ourselves that is not us. Okay. And once again, this is where the ego might be coming in and not allowing you to understand this information, but I'll give you an example. So for me, if you asked me this question a few months ago, who are you, Casey? I would say, oh, well, my name's Casey. I run my own business. I'm engaged. I have a dog. I help other women. That's who I am. But that's not all that you are. So anybody who's watching, ask yourself, and you probably would list out all of these things. Oh, I'm a mom. Oh, I run a business. Oh, I work for this corporation. Oh, I do this. But that's not you. And how I want to break this down, I wish I could have visuals for you. I'm not a good artist, or else I would draw it. Is the answer to that question is that you are the conscious awareness of everything that's going on in your head. Everything that's going on in your outside world, you are the conscious awareness of it. Okay. So I know this gets a little deep, it's a little edgy, but what that means is take anxious thoughts, for example. I know maybe you don't have anxiety, but I'm sure you've all had overthinking thoughts or anxious thoughts before. They come in and their thoughts like, oh my God, did I leave the hairdryer on? Oh my God, what are they going to think about me? Are they going to like my hair? Are they going to like my earrings? Are they going to like how I'm doing this presentation? That's my mind, first of all. I am that person, or I was that person. So first of all, you have those thoughts that are just coming into your mind, right? However, there's also somebody inside of you in there that's watching those thoughts come in, right? There's somebody in there who can say, wow, I'm feeling really anxious. I wish I didn't have these thoughts. Why do I have these thoughts? That person who's saying those things, that identity is actually who you are. You are the witness. You are the watcher. So this is a really fascinating subject. If you guys are into this stuff, look up witness-subject relationship and you'll see that you are the witness of all of these things that are going on. However, how you're interpreting them, how you're assigning meaning to them, that's your conditioning, okay? And that's what I wanna get into next, is conditioning. And realizing that the conditions that have been placed on you, your programming, that's why you're acting a certain way. That's why you are who you are. That's why you're judging certain things or you like or don't like things. That's because of the conditions that have been placed on you. So let's start from the beginning. You come into this world with a clean slate, happy, authentic, whole, happy baby. Nothing has been imprinted on you yet, okay? You just see the world. Sorry if you guys can hear those sirens. You see the world as a clean slate, okay? However, along the way, especially from the ages of 0 to 7, this is where things really start. This is where we pick up our entire belief system. So along the way, 0 to 7, you start to pick up conditions. You start to become told who to be, how to think, how to feel, how to act, how to walk, how to talk, how to be in society. And you pick that up based on your surroundings, most likely from your parents, your siblings, your friends, whoever was a strong, close influence in your life, that is who you picked up your conditioning from. So why this is important is because I just described to you that we have who we are, the witness, the watcher of our thoughts, who you actually are, your power, and then you have your identity. And once again, I'm not telling you you can't have an identity. I'm not telling you you can't be a certain person or strive to be a certain personality. However, your personality is what we want to get away from so that we can realize that there's more out there for us, okay? So your personality was created based on this programming. And why this is important is because if you grew up with the conditioning that you aren't good enough, that you can't believe in yourself, that you can't do amazing things, that you can't be your own boss, run your own business, be a famous actor. Like if you were raised by parents who didn't believe that for themselves, you will not be able to believe it for you. You've been conditioned to believe a certain thing, okay? So this is important to understand because until you realize that you are not those thoughts, that you are not your conditions, that you are not your programming, you can't move forward, okay? I hope that makes sense for you guys. Sorry guys. If you have any questions throughout this and you want to ask, please put them in the chat and I will answer. This is free Q&A. If you guys aren't understanding or you just want to ask more information, please ask away. If you're catching the replay, message me. This stuff is important. So the reason why I want to say this is because I struggled for so freaking long feeling that I was limited, feeling that I was unworthy. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't love myself. I struggled with anxiety, with self-worth, all of these limiting things, okay? And once I broke that identity, once I realized that I'm not my thoughts, you have to go back to understanding this belief that there's you and then there's these thoughts. And if you can believe that you are the powerful one, you are soul, you're an extension of source, you're God, whatever you guys believe in, whatever religion, you are an extension. You, the witness, is an extension of universal energy. You are so much more powerful than your conditioning has made you believe. You are so much more than your identity, than your personality. And that's why this stuff is important, because if you can realize that, if you can realize that you are powerful, you're going to be able to do whatever you want to do because you've released those conditions. You've released the programming that you've put on yourself that made you feel small. So the first step, and once again, I have so many notes, so I'm going to be a little all over the place, but I'm going to try to give you guys some action steps to work through here. So the first thing is to realize that you're not your mind. really understand that and maybe journal on what that means for you or how you guys can understand that, because it's so important. Because once you realize that you are not this anxious mind, you're not these overthinking thoughts, you're not everything that's going on up here, that's not you. You're watching it happen. So anytime you're feeling small, you're feeling limited, and we're going to get into limiting beliefs, but anytime you're feeling that, take a step back and realize, wait a second, that's not me. That's my conditioning. That's my programming. That's not who I am. I don't have to be that. Okay. And that's really important, because if you can realize that you can release those conditions at any moment, and once again, it's hard work, it takes some time, but when you can come back to who you actually are, that's when you will be able to make changes. So that's the first step, is remember who the fuck you are. Okay. So first part, you're not your mind, and you can break free from those conditions of your mind. Secondly, with conditioning, why this is important is because we forget that we have a choice with a lot of things. We forget that we're powerful. Sorry again for the sirens. We forget that we can have anything that we want. So I want you to make sure that you have an understanding of what conditioning is and why it's playing such a big impact in your life now. So journal on the fact of how you were raised. This goes back, there's a lot of work that can be done around here. There's inner child work, there's your belief system. However, think about when you were a little kid, what did you think was possible? What did your parents think was possible? How did they see themselves? Did they love themselves? Did they accept themselves? If they didn't, that was ingrained in you, whether you're aware of it or you're not. And most of us are not aware of it. So that's what I want to get into, is explaining that we have our conscious mind and we have our subconscious mind, okay? Your conscious mind is who's listening to this right now, who's picking this up, who's understanding it. However, your subconscious mind is the one that's assigning the meaning to it and how you're showing up in the world. So if you don't believe in yourself, but at a conscious level, you're like, no, I can do it. I can do it. But if your subconscious still isn't convinced, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay. So that's why it's really important to do this work, to tell your subconscious that things are possible. And that there's a whole slew of work that can be done for that. I don't have time to go into that today, but if you're looking for subconscious reprogramming, that's part of what I do. So back into it. Now I want to talk about conditioning and how we assign meaning to things. Okay. So I told you that you come into this world as a clean slate and you're automatically conditioned. The ages of 0 to 7, you have a pretty concrete belief system by then, right? So why this is important is because we can change this at any time. It takes conscious effort, like extreme conscious awareness and effort, but you can change at any time. So what I want to make you, or help you guys to understand, is everything that's happening, everything in your outside world, the relationships you have, the conversations that are going on, whatever you're doing in this very moment, how I'm speaking to you, it's happening as a neutral event. It's not positive, it's not negative, it's not good, it's not bad. It doesn't mean anything as I'm speaking to you. However, you watching is the one that's assigning meaning to it. When something happens, you're assigning the meaning to it, and you're assigning the meaning based on your conditioning. And I know this is getting a little deep, guys, but stay with me. You assign meaning to everything that's going on around you. That's why you see something different than your partner sees something. You react to a situation differently than your parents would react to a certain situation, okay? Because you've assigned the meaning to it. So if you are someone who is easily triggered, if you are someone who is emotionally reactive, that's because your conditioning has made you to be that way. Your conditioning has made you to respond in that manner because that's in alignment with your belief system. You can't see something as a neutral event because you're so freaking identified with the mind. And you guys, if you want to stop being emotionally reactive, if you want to stop having the anxiety, if you want to stop with the freaking thoughts, you have to come back to this fact that you're not your mind, you're not your conditioning. You've assigned meaning to it based on your programming, and you can step away from that at any moment. So, for example, you're driving to work, somebody cuts you off, and immediately you fly off the handle. You freak out, you give all your power away by doing that. That's the thing, you guys. When you respond emotionally, you are giving away all your power. It's it's so silly that we as humans do this. And once again, we're all human. We're all going to have moments where we fly off. But if you are someone who is constantly flying off and it's becoming an issue, this is for you. Listen up. And it doesn't have to just be with this. It can be with your screaming children. It can be with a conversation with your spouse where you got mad at each other. If you're becoming emotionally reactive, that's because you're identified with your mind, and it's because the meaning that you have assigned to it, whatever happened, isn't in alignment with what you want. Okay? So back to the example, you get cut off, now you're late for work, now your whole day is screwed up because you're identified with this awful situation that happened, and you can't break away from it because you're so identified with your mind. Then the next thing you know, your boss yells at you, that pisses you off. Then you don't do a good job that day because all you're fixated on is that event that happened earlier in the day. You can't let it go. You guys, that's the mind. That is not you. That's not who you are. So what the action step that I want you to take is to remember, this goes back to what I just said about not being the mind. Remember that you are more than that. You are not your conditions. You're not the mind. So when something happens, anything, they don't even have to be emotionally reactive situations, start to see things as neutral. And what I mean by this is to be the witness before you place judgments on things. Before you assign meaning to it, before your conditioning takes over, start to see everything as neutral. When I started doing this, I realized how associated with my mind I was. When I decided, it was so transformational. I had read about this, and the next day I was like, you know what? I'm going to constantly remind myself. I put reminders on my phone for every 30 minutes. Have you seen things as neutral? Are you seeing things as neutral? And my entire day shifted. I'm not even kidding, because I decided to break away from my identification with the mind, take a step back from my programming, release my conditioning, and start to see things as neutral. And I was like, holy shit, I didn't get it. I didn't get mad today. I wasn't anxious about things. And yes, it takes more time than this. It's not like every single day I have a perfect day, but if you can start to see things as neutral, the women gossiping in the break room, the people who are talking shit, the car situation, if somebody cuts you off, the screaming children, the anything, start to see it as neutral, and it will radically change your emotions throughout the day. And along with this is, if you are having resistance to something, we have resistance because it doesn't feel good to us, right? You're having resistance because you don't like it. Try to get behind that resistance and release it. So for example, anxious thoughts. If you have anxiety, I suffered from anxiety for so long, and now that I'm not over it, I would say, but I'm so in such a better place than I used to be. If I had let those, or I was letting those anxious thoughts through my life, but once I realized that you're not those thoughts, you're not, they don't feel good because they don't want to be inside of you. So think about when you have anxiety. For example, before this live, once again, I'm so much better than I was, but I used to suffer so bad. So before this live, oh my God, is my hair perfect? Are they going to like what I'm wearing? Am I going to like slip up my words? What is it going to mean about me if I do this? Another example, Gavin, my fiance, every time he used to leave for work, I would almost go into a panic attack, because in my mind, my anxious mind, oh my God, he's going to get in a car accident. Oh my God, he's not going to come home. Oh my God, what am I going to do without him? Oh my God, I'm going to miss him. I would literally make up this situation about him getting in a car accident and not coming home to me every single day that he left for work. And then every time he told me he was coming home, for those 30 minutes, I would be in like I would be paralyzed. Okay. That's anxiety. And that doesn't feel good. So I want you guys to think about a time where you've been anxious. That just like worked me up thinking about it. Think about a time you've been anxious. Those thoughts do not feel good because they don't belong inside of you. They don't feel good because they're not supposed to be there. However, you've identified with it. You've made anxiety part of your programming. You're conditioned to feel that way. So instead of releasing it, you keep going with the thoughts. You keep letting them swirl, and then they sit inside of you. So next time, and once again, this is way easier said than done, but next time you're feeling anxious, or you're having those incessant thoughts, whatever, or you're angry, or you're emotionally reactive, come back to center. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. And I know that sounds so silly, but it will help you, because when you're anxious, you're in your mind. You're no longer the witness. You're no longer the watcher. You are those anxious thoughts. And we have to get away from those if we want to move forward. So the first step is close your eyes, take a deep breath. I need a deep breath right now. I'm getting so riled up because I want you guys to understand this. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. And something that has worked for me is to come back to a mantra. And what I mean by that is just a word that you feel called to. It doesn't even matter. It can be water, it can be cell phone, just a word that you can give your thoughts something to focus on. Because guys, these things don't feel good because they want to come out. So let them out. Instead of continually swirling around, instead of me being like checking my phone, trying to track his location, calling his work to make sure he made it okay. Like, guys, I was nuts because I was just so identified with these thoughts. So if you can take a step back and come back to your breath, come back to your mantra, say it a few times, and remember that you're not those thoughts, they can be released from you. Okay? The more that you identify with them, the more that they stay inside you, the more that you come back to something else, focus on your breath, focus on your mantra, get into your body and not in your head, they can be released. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. So the next thing is try to come back to your breath anytime something's bothering you. So we kind of just went over a lot there, but see things as neutral. Really try your hardest to remind yourself. And what I did, like I really put reminders on my phone because you guys will watch even after this live, say, I don't know, it's 7 p.m. at home for you guys. The rest of your night, try to see things as neutral and you will be amazed at how in your mind you are, how in your conditioning you are. Okay, try that. And then the next time the overthinking happens, the anxiety happens, get away from your mind and come back to a mantra, come back to your thoughts. Or I'm sorry, come back to your body, come back to your breath and realize that you're not those thoughts. Okay. So I know that was a little bit all over the place, but I really want you guys to understand that you are not your mind. You are not your programming. You are not your conditioning. You are not those stupid thoughts. You are neutral. You get to witness everything without judgment. Okay. So I need a deep breath. That's the first part is you are not your mind. Break away from your conditioning, release your resistance, and be who you actually are. Remember your power and get back into it, okay? The next part that I want to talk about, give me 1 second, is breaking the patterns. Okay, so this goes along with what we just talked about. The mind's such a bitch, but it's important. The mind functions the way that it does because of your conditioning, because of its programming, but also because its neurons have fired the same way for the last X number of years of your life. So however old you are, your mind has begun or has been processing on this autopilot, just on autopilot all the time, functioning on the programs that have worked for the last X number of years, and you're not aware of it. This is the subconscious mind. So you think you're in control, but you're not. So I want you guys to ask yourself, how did you get ready this morning? Did you turn on the coffee maker, then go to the bathroom, then brush your teeth, then take a shower? Did you make your bed? Did you not make your bed? I guarantee you there was not a lot of conscious thought there. You got out of bed the same way. I'm sure you put the left foot down and then the right, or the vice versa, whatever you're used to. I'm sure you went into the bathroom. I'm sure you brushed your teeth with the same hand that you've brushed your teeth for the last number of years. Think about when you take a shower, the order that you shower in. It's so weird, but we all shower in a different way. Do you shampoo, then conditioner, then body wash? Do you do it differently? I guarantee you though, it's automatic. You're not thinking about it, okay? So these are patterns that our brain has created, and why it's important is because with little things, it doesn't matter. Our brain is functioning. It's doing it on autopilot. You don't need to spend your energy on those things. However, where it does become an issue is in emotionally reactive situations, in situations that do take your energy, in situations that are emotionally charged. And why this is important is because if you want to break away from self, if you want to break away with this identification, you have to start to break the patterns. So I told you first step is start to see things as neutral, but break the patterns and create new ones. So creating new ones means that's going to take a hell of a lot of energy, a lot of conscious focus, conscious decision-making, conscious action so that you can create these new patterns. Because guys, if you want to live a new life, if you want to, I'm just going to use myself, for example. I hated my corporate job. I wanted to own my own business. I wanted to move somewhere amazing. I moved to Hawaii. I wanted to do all these things, but if I was functioning in those old patterns of my mind that didn't believe in myself, that were keeping me small, that made me feel like shit, that I wasn't worthy, that I wasn't this, and this, you're functioning in those patterns because they're ingrained in you. So the first step is to break those patterns. And this is hard because your subconscious does not want to change. Think about, just using this example because it's easy, think about New Year's resolutioners who want to get healthy. They want to get in shape. I am one of these people continuously, and I don't want to say fail, but I always end up doing the same thing. What happens? January 1st, everybody's in the gym, everybody's working hard because they're excited, right? The next day, they're there. Then a week goes by and they're like, oh, you know what? I don't like how I ate this weekend. I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. I don't want to do the gym. I don't want to do that. And they fall back into their old patterns. We all do it. I do it. You guys do it. I guarantee you there's something in your life that you have just fell back into the patterns because it's easier. And why it's easier. So think about when there's a ton of snow. For all of you guys watching, I know you're on the East Coast, so you know what snow is. When you're walking in the snow and you're in a fresh field and it's that hard snow that's hard to walk in, right? Is it easier to create your own path of snow to walk through? Or is it easier to walk in the footsteps behind the person who has already created the path? There's a person walking in front of you. Are you going to try to step in their footprints so it's easier for you to walk through the snow, or are you just going to try to make your own path? No, it's easier to take that path of least resistance. That's exactly what's happening in your mind. Your mind is firing, the neurons are firing at the same time on the same circuits that they always have fired on because it's easy for them, okay? So if you want to have something that you've never had, you have to create new patterns, because the patterns that are going on right now, I'm only assuming if you're on this live, you have patterns of unworthiness, of limiting beliefs, of lack, of poorness, of all of these things, not good enough. Those are the patterns that your brain is used to firing on. If you want something that's over here, expansiveness, self-love, self-acceptance, money, like anything that you want, you have to create new patterns. Because if you don't have these new patterns that you believe in yourself, and if you don't tell yourself you believe in yourself every day, you're going to very easily fall back into this old pattern of, I'm nothing, I'm worthless, I'm a piece of shit, I'll never be able to do what she did, I'll never have that much money, I'll never have the houses, the cars, whatever you guys want, okay? I'm getting so fired up. I hope this makes sense to you guys. We have to create new patterns, okay? So this is hard, like I said. So first, start small. Start with your morning routine, what I just described to you. Instead of sleeping on one side of the bed, sleep on the other. And if I say that to you and it triggers you, because I had this conversation with Gav, I was like, let's sleep, like switch up what side of the bed we sleep on. He's like, no. And I'm like, well, why not? He's like, well, I don't want to. And I'm like, but why not? It's because your mind gets comfortable with a pattern and it gets so identified with something and it doesn't want to stray from that because it likes its patterns. Okay. So if I ask you to switch up the side of the bed that you sleep on and you get resistance to it, that's an issue. You've got to be able to move past that resistance. Okay. Let me just see in the chat. It makes a lot of sense. Good. I'm glad. I hope this is making sense for you guys. So start small. Hold on. How do I close that? Okay. Start small with the patterns and start with switching up the side of the bed you sleep on. Brush your teeth with a different hand, shower in a different order, make your food in a different way that you might not have made it before. Whatever these patterns that you go through on a normal daily basis, try to switch them up, because the more that you can get your mind used to the fact that it's not functioning on autopilot anymore, the easier it will be to create these new patterns that I'm talking about of expansiveness, of abundance, of worthiness, of feelings of fulfillment, okay? You can't get to that if you're not even willing to break the patterns that you're currently going through, okay? So that's kind of my third action step for you guys, is start to break the patterns. So get in the moment, see things as neutral, break the patterns, all right? Hi, Pam, you're hopping on. Let's keep moving forward. So we're seeing things as neutral, we are breaking the patterns, and now we're going to get in the good. Hold on, let me read. Jake, is the intent to always be shaking it up or to just create healthier neutral patterns? It doesn't really matter. It's as long as you are shaking it up, because if you continue to allow your brain to function on autopilot, that's just what it's going to do. So eventually we want to create healthier neutral patterns, but the first step in doing that is to be able to shake it up. Because like I said, if you guys try to go 0 to 100, it's not going to work. You can try, and I'm sending you all my belief. I'm not saying I don't believe in you, but because of how the brain is wired, if all of a sudden, like the example I gave, here's a good example. If I told you right now that you had to go out and run a marathon tomorrow, what would you tell me? No training. Well, Jake, you don't count because you run every day. But if I told you you had to go out and run a marathon tomorrow, what would you say? if you're me, you would say, absolutely fucking not. There's no way. I hate running. I will never run a marathon, et cetera, et cetera. So, however, if you told me, okay, you have 6 months to run this marathon, I could make a training plan. I could switch things up. I could start to lift weights. I could start to eat cleaner to enhance my performance, et cetera. You want to break the patterns and start to create new ones so that you can get to your end goal. So Jake, let me know if that makes sense to you. Yes, we want to create healthier neutral patterns, but it starts by shaking things up. Let me know if that makes sense. All right. Does make sense. Cool. Anybody else? Pam, you're just hopping on. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. This is open forum. Let's keep moving on. So now, limiting beliefs. I love limiting beliefs. This is the core of the work that I do, of everything that I put out to you guys. It's because of limiting beliefs. It's because I struggled with limiting beliefs. It's because every single one of us has limiting beliefs. And it's very important to understand that you are not these beliefs. So what we talked about in the beginning is how we are not our mind. And if I told you guys, if you understand that you're not your mind, then you can also understand that you're not these beliefs. However, we are associated with these beliefs. We do feel a certain type of way because for the last X number of years, you have been believing these things. Your conditioning has made you believe them, okay? But I want you guys to understand that those aren't you. They're beliefs that you've picked up, you've made them part of you, you've identified with them. That's the thing, guys. If you're identified with these beliefs, you're never going to be able to go anywhere. You have to be willing to put your ego aside, to step away from the mind and realize you're so much more than those freaking beliefs, and you can create new ones, expansive ones, to have something that you want. Okay? So before we get into limiting beliefs, I want to ask you, if you can believe in limiting beliefs, right now, you believe in them. I guarantee you, every single one of us has limiting beliefs. We feel unworthy. We don't love ourselves. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't think something is possible. Oh, she can do it, but that's not for me. I guarantee you, every single one of you has looked at somebody else's life. For me, I do this with wealthy people. And I have money beliefs. I have limiting money beliefs. I look at other people who are wealthy and I look at their life and I'm like, oh man, I'll never have that. I wish I could have that. But I'm limiting myself. You see, I'm identified with this belief that I have to be small, that I'll never make enough money to be able to have that. You're identified with a belief. So if you can understand, I want to make sure, ask yourself, do I understand that I can believe in limiting beliefs? The answer should be yes, because you all have limiting beliefs. So where I'm going with this, if you can believe in your limiting beliefs, then that means that you can also believe in your expansive beliefs, right? If you can believe in apples, then you can also believe in oranges. Stop assigning meaning to things to make them fit within your belief system, okay? The reason that you don't believe that you can have something is because you've assigned meaning to it. You've made it feel limited. For me, looking at those wealthy people, I assigned the meaning that I'll never have money. They're just lucky, like good for them, but I will never have that. I've assigned the meaning to it, okay? I want you guys to understand this. So if you can believe, first step, you can believe in your limiting beliefs, then that means by law of science or whatever I'm trying to say here, that you can also believe in your expansive beliefs, okay? So that's the first part, is understanding that it's going to be possible for you. Because if right out the gate, what I'm going to talk about in limiting beliefs, if you are not allowing yourself to believe it, to understand that you can be expansive, you can love yourself, you can be worthy, you can believe in yourself. If you right from the get-go are like, this isn't for me, you're not going to understand it, okay? So if you can believe in apples, you can also believe in oranges. Let's get into limiting beliefs. So, limiting beliefs. They are simply stories that you have told yourself for so long, or other people have told you, that you now believe them to be true. This makes up who you are, who you're identified with, is this belief system. And everything that you're doing has to validate that belief system in order for you to function, if you're identified with your mind. So every single situation in your life, every single relationship, every single conversation, you have to you're somehow assigning meaning to it to make it fit into your belief system. So limiting beliefs, these are just stories that we have told ourselves for so long that they are now just our truth. And I'll give you examples. So think about, you have a car full of garages. You go out to your car, you've got 100 cars to choose from. did I say that wrong? You go out to your garage and you have 100 cars to choose from. Some cars work really well and some cars don't work so well. And the cars that don't work so well are your limiting beliefs. However, when I ask you what you're choosing on a daily basis, how are you going to get to work? All of you guys are getting in these shitty cars that they're going to break down along the way. You're allowing yourself to identify with your limiting beliefs, your limiting stories, the books that aren't going to send you anywhere. You're identifying with these cars that aren't working. However, on the other side of your garage, you have Ferraris and Porsches and I don't know other names of fast cars, but you have cars that are functioning, that are incredible, that are going to get you where you want to go. We all have this opportunity in our mind. However, we're staying with the cars that need work. So the other thing, and I should have prefaced this, I want you guys to understand, you are not broken because you have limiting beliefs. Just because you have these beliefs does not mean that you cannot be successful. You can still be successful and live your dream life and have limiting beliefs. It's okay to have these. And I want to make that clear because there are people out there who make you think that you have to go back, pick on all your scabs, do all of this healing work, do years and years and years of work before you can have something. And that's not true. We all have limiting beliefs. We're all going to have them. We're human. However, it's whichever belief that you're pouring your energy into, that's the belief that's going to take hold. That's the belief that you're going to function out of. So when you go out to your garage in the morning, do you want to get in a car that's going to get you to work on time? Or do you want to spend your time on this car that's not going to get you there? Are you going to have to stop at the mechanic? Are you going to break down on the side of the road? Are you going to not have a car that's taking you anywhere? So ask yourself that next time that you want to achieve something, you have a goal, you have a dream, which car is going to take you there? Okay? So now back to these cars that aren't functioning at full capacity. These are our limiting beliefs. The goal here, like I just said, is to not go back and kill them off and make them feel like they can't be a part of you and look down on them and assign this awful meaning to them. They're a part of you because they're scared. We're all human, and I'm not going to go into this on this call, but we have shadows. And this shadow side of us needs some love. These limiting beliefs, all they want is to be seen and loved and accepted and softened because right now they're scared. You don't believe in yourself because you're scared. You don't love yourself because there's fear. You don't feel worthy because of X, Y, and Z. So the goal here is to not look at your beliefs and be like, well, fuck you for feeling like you suck. Like, get out of here. No, all we have to do is love on them a little bit and soften them. Ooh, sorry. So, for example, you have a limiting belief that, let me just do for me. I had a limiting belief that I wasn't smart enough to do anything. I wasn't smart enough to run my own business. I wasn't smart enough to be at the job I was at. I wasn't smart enough to be more than a waitress. I wasn't smart enough to do X, Y, and Z. I had these limiting beliefs, right? And they held me back because I was giving all of my power and energy to them. But if you can soften these beliefs, and what I mean by soften is, so all those beliefs I've just listed to you, how can I make those not true? How can I take some of their power away? How can I soften them so that I can believe in this new belief that I want to get to of, I am smart, I am worthy, I am strong, I am X, Y, and Z. You have to soften those beliefs. So for those beliefs I just said, I'm not smart enough, take the power away and say, well, why do I think I'm not smart enough? I was smart enough to do this. I was smart enough to do that. I was smart enough to get into college. I was smart enough to get a master's degree. I was smart enough to get a 4.0. So that belief doesn't really have as much power as it used to. So for all of your limiting beliefs, and I have a whole workshop on limiting beliefs, if you guys want to get into this, it's for free. But if you have limiting beliefs, write them out and start to soften those stories, because the more that you can soften them and welcome them in and realize that they don't have all this power over you, the easier it will be to choose the new beliefs, because those old ones don't have as much power over you. Because once again, if you guys try to go 0 to 60 without doing some of this work, it's going to be really hard for you to focus on the expansive beliefs, on this all of a sudden. Like, it would be like me waking up tomorrow and be like, I'm going to make $1 million today. I can do that. My subconscious is going to be like, you have never made $1 million in your life. How are you going to make it in one day? We have to get our human on board. We have to make sure our human and our soul are working together here. Okay. So limiting beliefs, I want you guys to try to soften them, because all that they are stories. They're powerful stories, but they're just stories that you've taken on because of your parents, because of your siblings, because of your friends, because of you, who you are, who you're identified with. These are the stories that you've created. Okay. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. Really think about your limiting beliefs as stories. And are you going to choose the limiting ones, or are you going to choose the expansive ones? Okay. So give me 1 second. So we're going to move into our dream life here, but back to these beliefs. I want you guys to realize that it's okay to have them. You're not broken because you have them. It's going to be okay. However, if you continue to give your power to these beliefs of unworthiness, of I'm not good enough, or I'm a failure, or I'm too ugly, I'm not pretty, I'm X, Y, and Z, if you spend your time here, you're never going to go anywhere. If you're sitting in these cars that are broken, you're not going to be able to move forward. So try to fix those cars, soften those beliefs a little bit, turn the dial up to the positive cars, to the expansive cars, to the Ferraris, the ones that are going to get you there, okay? Try to focus on those stories. And another thing with this, we're going to go a little deeper here, is if you struggle with limiting beliefs like we all do, ask yourself, what does this mean about me? So for me, and I'm just relating myself because it's an easy example to give. For me, I was petrified to quit my job and start my own business. Petrified, because I was like, I'm going to fail. I'm not going to make any money. I'm going to have to take out a loan. I'm going to have to live in my parents' basement. I'm going to have to do this. They're going to laugh at me. What are people going to think of me? I had all of these stories going on, right? But you have to take a step back and ask yourself, well, what does it mean if I do fail? What does it mean about me if I'm not smart enough? What does it mean about me if I can't do something? What does it mean about me if I have to move back in my parents' basement? And at first, you asking yourself that, you're going to say, well, it means I'm a failure. It means I suck. It means I'm unworthy. But we have to get to the place of realizing that we can love and accept ourselves unconditionally, no matter what. Because if you can come back to all of these limiting beliefs and answer this question, what does it mean about me? It means nothing. It means that you're human. It means that you tried something. It doesn't mean you're a failure. You're assigning meaning to it, okay? Like we talked about at the first half of this masterclass, you're assigning the meaning to it. So if you can switch that meaning and say, well, it means I tried something. It means I went for it. It means that I'm believing in myself. It means I took action. It means you can still love and accept yourself. If you continually think about these things, another example, back to me, I struggled with anxiety. So everywhere I went, anytime we got out, I was like, oh my God, are they judging me on my outfit? Oh my God, why did I just say that? Oh my God, they're going to think that I'm ugly. They're going to think I'm fat. They're going to think this, and this. But come back to this question. Well, what does it mean about me if they do think that? If you're seeking external validation, if you're allowing others to assign meaning to who you are, you're giving your power away. You're stuck in this mindset. You're stuck in this identity. What does it mean about me if they don't like my outfit? It means nothing. I should not be seeking external validation, and yet we all do it. So the point that we have to get back to here, guys, is self-love. Self-acceptance, radical self-worthiness, because if you can be the person who starts to give yourself everything that you need, you've won. You will no longer worry about these things. And yes, it takes time. You're always going to worry. It'll still be there in the back of your mind, but not like it used to be. If you give your power away, you're helpless, okay? If you're constantly seeking external validation, if I, in the beginning of this business, if I said, I'm going to do this because I want my parents to love me more. I'm going to do this so that I can prove to all these people that I'm powerful, so that I can show them like I don't have to work for the man anymore. If that was my goal, that's me seeking external validation. And that gives your power away, because what happens when your parents don't love you more? When nobody cares about what you're doing? When this, and this, you're giving your control away. You cannot control what other people think, what they're viewing you as, what they like see you as. You're giving your power away if you're seeking the external validation. And that was a hard as hell lesson for me to learn. And I struggle with it every day, but I work through it, because if I can give myself what I need, that's all that matters. If I can, at the end of the day, know that I did what I was like, I love, I'm operating how I want to operate, and I love myself and I accept myself, even if I fail, then you don't fail. Okay. I hope that makes sense for you guys, because that was a huge wake-up call for me, is that even if I do fail, even if I am unworthy, even if all this laundry list of limiting beliefs I had, ask yourself for each one, what does it mean about me? It means nothing. It means that you're human. It means that you are trying, okay? So I hope that helps in terms of working through limiting beliefs, is that you can still give yourself all the love and acceptance that you deserve. Stop seeking it from other people, okay? Do not look for others for validation. You will always be let down every single time, okay? So I'm like losing my voice here. Wow, I'm getting really excited. So moving on, let's see. Hold on, I'm checking the chat. Powerful, our past history has dictated so much. These are great points. Exactly. It's our past, it's our conditioning, and this is ingrained in us. And I also want to help you guys, or something I want you guys to understand is these beliefs, let me close this out, run extremely deep. They are not just based on what your parents taught you growing up or what they didn't teach you. There's such things as ancestral DNA. And I know this is getting a little far out there. And if you aren't ready to hear this, that's okay. But these things run deep in our bloodline, dating back to like our grandparents, our great grandparents. Like think about the Great Depression. They didn't have money, so that's instilled down the chain. These limiting beliefs go so much deeper than just who you are being in this moment. They run deep, and that's why, like that point that you just made, Julie, is that it's such history around them that it's so hard to break them because it's in our DNA to feel a certain way. It's not just our conditioning, it's also ingrained in us in our physical body. So there's so much work that goes around this, and it takes a little bit of time because of how ingrained it is in you. So just keep that in mind. Something that I struggled with at the beginning of this journey is that it wasn't happening fast enough for me. I was like, I have all of these years of limiting beliefs. It's going to take me 27 more years to get rid of them. And I wasn't allowing myself to see the expansive beliefs because I was so fixated on all of this work I would have to do. And yeah, it's work, it's confronting, it takes time, but it can happen quickly. It happens the moment you decide to shift your energy around how you're viewing it and realize that you are powerful. You can create something if you want to create something. So hope that helps too. You guys, you're so freaking expansive. You can create whatever you want. You just have to be willing to get away from this mind, to get out of this identity that you've created, to step away from the anxious thoughts, to step away from the emotions and realize who the fuck you are, okay? So we're nearing the end. That was a lot of information that I just kind of ran through. Let me see what else I got, what else I have time for here. I couldn't even tell you how many pages of notes. There's like 12 here that I wanted to talk about today, but I can't include it all. So I think I'll wrap it up with, if you want a dream life right now, if you say to yourself, we all have a dream life that we want to create. I did, you all do. But ask yourself, what needs to change from how I'm being today to what my dream life looks like? So this comes down to being the person. We can all look at our dream. And when I used to look at my dream, for some reason, I pictured myself like in my 50s living it, because it was like that far-fetched. It was that far away. I always pictured it as like something super far away, because that person is a different person than who you're being. If you want to have something, ask yourself, did the actions that you took today align with what your dream life requires of you? That's super confronting. That's confronting as hell, because I ask myself that every day before I go to bed. Did I do everything that the person who already has my dream has? Okay. And I'm not going to go too deep into this because this is the basis of my new program. But if you want something, not only, and yes, you have to do all the stuff we just talked about, soften those limiting beliefs, break away from the identification of your mind, see things as neutral, get into the now moment, get into your body. Those are all really important, but it comes down to who you are being. Who are you being at the end of the day? Because if you're being the person who's still not taking the aligned action, who's scared, who's never starting, who's believing that they're never going to have it all, if you're not being the person every single day, you're not going to get there. So some tips for this is create your dream life, make a vision board, make a Pinterest board, journal out what your dream looks like. Who is the higher self that lives inside of you? The person that you've always wanted to be. I always used to like say that to myself, like, oh, well, I'm going to be her someday. Like she's in there, but I never took action. It's one thing to envision her and dream about her and look at her and be like, oh, you're amazing. I can't wait to be you. But if you're not taking the aligned action, how do you expect to get there? And yes, there is something to be said for manifestation and quantum leaping, I wholeheartedly believe in those, but we have a human aspect of ourselves that has to get on board. And that part of you needs to take the aligned action, because the aligned action, if it's in alignment with your belief system that we just talked about, that's what's going to make your human believe it's possible. So back to my example about the $1 million. If I told you, or if you told yourself, you know what, I'm going to wake up and make $1 million tomorrow. I've never made $1 million in my business, but I'm going to do it tomorrow. Your human is going to have a very hard time getting on board with that. However, if you are being the person, so say I told myself, this is a lofty goal, but in a year, I'll make $1 million. This is lofty. My human's going to have a hard time getting on board with it. But for this example, in 1 year, I will make $1 million because of the actions that I'm taking today, because of all of the content I'm putting out, because of all the clients I'm helping, because of all the lives I'm changing, because of all the work I'm doing, the businesses, the seminars, the blank, blank, and blank. If you are taking the aligned action, your human is going to be able to get on board with it because you're being the person. And if you're being the person who already has it all, you can start to believe that you're going to have it all. And it might not feel like it at first. Let's go back to the example of the running the marathon. Same thing. If I told you had to wake up tomorrow and run a full marathon, you'd look at me like, not happening. Okay. But if I told you, you have a year to train for this, I'm going to buy you the best sneakers, I'm going to cook you the best food, you're going to lift these weights, and you took those actions daily, you would believe in yourself because you're being the person who already can run the full marathon. Does that make sense? Let me know if you guys feel called to let me know. I'm just curious, because being the person is like the missing puzzle piece to this whole thing. Because yeah, you can say you have all these expansive beliefs until you're blue in the face, but if you're not taking the aligned action, if you're not being the person who already has it all, you're not going to be able to move forward. Okay. And once again, there's so much more that goes into this. I just don't want to get into it. We're already almost at an hour, but that's the next step, is being the person. And then it's manifestation, and then it's creating your life, and then it's living your life. Okay. So, excuse me. I'm going to wrap it up here because, hold on. Do you mean that you're acting as if? Yes. It means doing everything. So, for example, like I said, create that dream life. What does that look like to you? And now list out I wish I had visuals. I'm going to try to do something here. Hold on. Okay. This is a river. Okay. This is a river right here. And you're standing over here on this side of the river. This is you, who you're being right now in this moment. Over here is your dream life. This is the person who already has it all. The money in the bank, the family that they want to have, the relationships they want to have, X, Y, and Z. Whatever your dream, it's over here. And you're here. Can you get here by doing the actions that you're taking right now in this moment? The answer is probably not, because if you were already taking those actions, you'd be living your dream, right? So you have to start doing every single thing that this person does over here on a daily basis. It's going to feel hard. It's not going to feel good because we're creating new patterns like I talked about. So yes, act as if. And even if it's faking it until you make it, whatever actions that your human feels are necessary to achieve that dream, you have to start doing them. So for people who want to get in better shape, if you want to get in better shape, but you are still sitting on the couch, eating Kit Kats every single night, doing X, Y, and Z, your human is not going to be able to get on board with the fact that you're going to have your dream body. But if you're setting your alarm to go running in the morning, if you're lifting weights, if you're choosing healthier decisions, your human is going to start to feel good. And the more and more that you do it, the more you act as if, you will become. At first, it's going to feel like acting. It's not going to feel natural because it's not you. It's not who you're identified with. But the more aligned action that you can take as the person who already has it all, you will wake up one day and be that person. Okay, let me know if that makes sense, if that clears that up. If not, let me know because I'll go into it further. You have to start taking the action of the person who already has it all. At first, it's going to suck. It's not going to feel good. You're not going to like it. That's those patterns that I was talking about. It's the steps in the snow. But if you can create new ones and take the aligned action every single day, you will change. You will be the person. It's not about becoming. It's about being in this very moment. So ask yourself, I started doing this. And once again, with that example, It's okay to be human. It's okay to eat ice cream. It's okay to go out and get French fries. That doesn't mean anything bad unless you're making it mean something bad. However, you have to take the aligned action in every single moment for yourself to believe that you're going to get on board. So what I started doing is, and I want you guys to try this too at home, every single decision you make from here on out, ask yourself, is this supporting who I want to be? Is this supporting my dream life? Is this supporting the me that I've always wanted to be? And if it doesn't, you have a decision to make. You either fall back into the old patterns or you step up and you be the person who does say no to X, Y, and Z. You be the person who has the body you want or whatever. I don't mean to just keep using that example, but you become the person that you want to be by choosing in every single moment if you want to fall back into old patterns or create new ones so that you can be that person. And once again, I want to make it clear, it's okay to be human. Yes, sometimes, for the example of like running a marathon, sometimes you're not going to wake up and want to go on a run. And maybe one day you fall asleep, but the next day you get right back to it. Every single decision is an opportunity for you to choose who you are being. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Every single decision is an opportunity for you to choose who you are being. So if you want something that you've never had, you have to be a different person. You have to break away with this identity that you've created and be the person who already has it. And that shifted everything for me because once I decided, I created my dream life. I have journals about it. I have a whole Pinterest board dedicated to it. And I looked at it just like this. This person over here, I was like, holy shit. Like, I got some work to do. If I want to be her, I got some work to do. And I started asking myself those questions. Do you think it's wise for me to chug a bunch of alcohol the night before a big work day? Probably not. My old self would have done it, but that's not going to fit in my new identity anymore. Do you think that it's okay for me to scroll on social media for 8 hours a day and have a successful business? Probably not. So I got the heck off my phone. It's the little things, guys, the littlest things that you have to start doing daily. Ask yourself, what am I choosing daily in order to become that person, to be the person who already has it all? And yes, it will be hard, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. Okay? So, big deep breath. Let me know if that was helpful for you guys. We're at an hour, so I'm going to wrap it up and do some closing takeaways for you guys. If there's any questions, this is a free Q&A. Please ask away. If not, that's okay too. If you're catching the replay, feel free to message me with any questions you have. My main takeaway that I want you guys to realize here is you are not your mind. You are not these limiting beliefs. You are not the programming that has been placed on you. You're not your conditioning. You are not these thoughts. Who you are is the conscious awareness of these thoughts. Who you are is the extension of source, this magical, universal, energetic being. You can have it all. You can create new beliefs. And like I said, if you can believe in your limiting beliefs, then why can't you believe in your expansive beliefs? Because you've been conditioned to be small. Okay? I hope that resonates with you guys because once you can realize it, once you can step away from this identification, once you stop giving your power away constantly, you won. You won the game when you realize that you're in control. Excuse me, that's the thing. Is by giving all of our power away, it makes us feel like we're worthless. It makes us feel like we don't have anything. It makes us feel limited. But when you realize that you're so expansive and you start to choose that version of you every single day, like I said, every single decision or situation is an opportunity for you to choose who you're being. The more that you choose your highest self, the more that you will become him or her. Okay? So that's what I'm going to end with. Please let me know if that was helpful. If you don't want to say in the comments, message me on the side just because I want to know if this resonates with you. If you guys are looking for different support, let me know about that too. And I do want to extend a special offer for you guys who caught this live. If you're catching the replay for the next 24 hours, I am running a special. So I have a new program coming up. Thank you so much. Great tips. You're welcome, Pam. I hope so. Where will this be posted? You're going to get an email with the replay. So you'll have that access forever. It'll be in an email form. And if you don't get it, I'm just saying this now live for those who are watching live, check your spam or promotions because I use a third-party email service. So I might go there. But real quick, I have an exciting program coming out. It's called Limitless. It's a 6-week group program. You're going to get live video calls each week. There's going to be a live support call each week. So 2 live videos per week. You're going to get journal prompts and clarity exercises. You're going to get mirror work, all of these exercises to help you stay consistent with everything we just talked about. So the program is based on breaking free from the limits of your mind. It's going to go so much deeper than we just went on this webinar, on this masterclass, and teach you how to start becoming the person, teach you about manifestation, help you get clarity on your life's purpose. If you're someone who might still not feel like they fit in somewhere, that's what this program is going to help you do. So if you caught this webinar, whether it's live or if it's the replay, for the next 24 hours, if you sign up for Limitless, you will also get a bonus free coaching session with me. So private one-on-one coaching if you sign up in the next 24 hours of watching this webinar. Okay. So that's my deal for you guys. Because this work is so important, I want it for each and every one of you. And if you need help, if you need support, please reach out, because I know how it feels to be stuck, to feel alone, to not love yourself, to feel limited, to feel like your dreams are impossible. And it's scary and it sucks and it's not a good feeling. But if you can realize that you're so much more than that, that you're expansive and that you can have everything that you want, you are going to, I can't even describe it. Like, I'm there. I want to tell you guys, I am on the other side. I've achieved my dream. I'm living my dream life. I quit my job. I moved to Hawaii. I got engaged to the love of my life. I'm running my own business where I help women do exactly what I did, and I'm making money off of it. And that's my freaking dream, and I'm living it. And I want that for each and every one of you guys as well. So if this resonated with you, if you're feeling stuck and you want to get there, reach out to me. I do free discovery calls, free sessions to help you guys figure out if we would be a good fit. If you need anything at all, I'm here for you. And I'm going to stop talking because I have a tendency to ramble. But if you guys are looking for support, I'm here for you. Whatever you need, just remember that you are so expansive. You're so much more than these limiting beliefs. You're so much more than your conditioning, and you can have whatever you want. Okay. So I'm going to end it at that. Thank you guys for being here live. If you're catching the replay, I truly appreciate it. And I will see you guys. Also, sorry, one more thing. If you guys like these trainings, I have a private Facebook group, free Facebook group. I do 2 trainings a week, free coaching. Anything that resonates with you from this, I do it in that private Facebook group. So if you're looking for more help, that's where I'll be. Okay. Thank you guys for showing up. Have a beautiful rest of your evening, and I will catch you guys sometime this week. Thank you again. Bye, guys.